Well, hey friends, my name is Roger and welcome to my channel, Rogers Reads. And yes, I've been on a little hiatus and I think I'm back now, so you should be seeing videos from me more regularly. But for today, I decided I'm going to do a book haul because I realized that I hadn't done one in probably a couple of months, and I really haven't. Well, actually, that's not true. I have got some books in January. Most of these books are from the previous year, 2019, from November and December. And the majority of them are from a book outlet haul. A book outlet was having one of their infamous sales, and I had to partake. So on to the book haul. So the first book that I want to talk about is entitled Middle Game by Seanan McGuire. So I've read several other of Seanan's books, including her Wayward Children series, with a new one coming out this year that I'm looking forward to. And also Laughter at the Academy, a collection of awesome short stories. So I've heard a lot of things about this book. Kayla over at Books and Lala has really given this book high praise, so I'm really looking forward to it. I was especially tickled when I learned that the story follows two twins, Roger and Dodger, who aren't exactly human and who may or may not be gods. Now, given that people have called me Roger Dodger throughout most of my life, I had to pick this book up. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. Next up is Furthermore by Tara Maffei. So the cover on the book is a lot of fun. I really like it. So this is a middle grade fantasy, kind of a modern day fairy tale that follows a girl named Alice who was born without pigment in her skin. So she's kind of seen as an outcast because the world that she lives in is really colorful, and in her world, color equals magic. So she, along with a boy named Oliver, I do believe, set off on an adventure to Furthermore to search for Alice's father who disappeared 3 years ago. So yeah, another fun story. So the next book is entitled Dark Secrets by Alex Marwood. So this is a thriller that follows Mila Jackson, whose 3-year-old half-sister Coco disappeared during their powerful and wealthy father's 50th birthday celebration. So the case ignited quite the media frenzy and forever changed the lives of everyone involved. Now, Sean Jackson, the father, is dead, and those people who were present at that terrible night gather once again, but this time for the funeral. And supposedly this funeral will reveal the secrets of the past and possibly of that night, I imagine. So, yeah, interesting thriller. So the next book that I hauled was entitled Ordinary Grace by William Kent Kruger. So I'm a huge fan of Kruger's writing, having recently finished This Tender Land, which is an excellent book. He also writes the Cork O'Connor series, all of which they're kind of adventure stories, or more like mysteries, I guess, that take place in the Boundary Waters, Minnesota, and even some in Canada, I do believe. So this particular book takes place in Minnesota in the 1960s, I do believe. It follows a 13-year-old boy named Frank. So tragedy unexpectedly strikes his family in this year, which includes his father, who's a Methodist minister, his artistic mother, his older sister, who's bound for college, and his wise beyond his years brother. So Frank then finds himself thrust into an adult world full of secrets, lies, adultery, and betrayal. So color me intrigued, but I do like anything that William Kent Kruger writes. So the next book is He Forgot to Say Goodbye by Benjamin Alire Sáenz. Now, he is the author of Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe, a book that I absolutely love and raved about on this channel. So I was excited to see this book by the same author. So all I know about this is that it follows two boys whose lives couldn't be more different. One of the boys is Mexican-American and lives in a poor section of town, and the other is a rich white boy. But these two boys have two things in common. One, their fathers walked out on them when they were young, and two, their lives are spiraling out of control. So I imagine at some point their lives will intertwine somehow. So I'm excited to see how this all plays out. Oh, by the way, speaking of Aristotle and Dante, there's supposedly a sequel on the way. I think it's, I can't remember the name of it, but the story begins where the last book left off. So I'm looking forward to that and this. So the next book that I picked up is called Friends with Boys. So this is a young adult graphic novel about a girl who is just starting high school and she ends up being haunted by a ghost. And you know me, I love me a ghost story, so this sounds like a lot of fun. And I think it's a YA book. So from what I can gather, she's really trying to fit into school and make new friends, but this ghost kind of puts a damper on her plans, so it sounds fun. So the next book is entitled An Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson. So I've seen a few positive reviews, actually raven reviews of this, so I was excited to pick it up. I was excited when I saw it in the book outlet. So this follows Isabel, who's an artist with a dangerous set of clients, the sinister fair folk, and as well as other immortal creatures who themselves cannot make art. So Isabel's paintings are highly prized, but when she receives her first royal patron, Rook, who is the autumn prince of fairy, she screws up royally. She ends up painting mortal sorrow in his eyes, a weakness that could cost him his life. So, needless to say, Rook is enraged and spirits her away to his kingdom to stand trial for what she has done. But when they arrive, they discover that something is seriously wrong in his world and they are attacked from every side. So Isabel and Rook end up depending on each other for survival, and eventually an alliance forms between them, and that alliance ends up turning into love. But that is a love that violates the fair folks' ruthless laws, so now both of their lives are forfeit unless Isabel can use her skills as an artist to fight the fairy courts. So this sounds like a really fun and exciting read, and I can't wait to delve into it. So the next book is entitled Local Girl Missing, and this is written by Claire Douglas. So this is a thriller that follows Francesca Howe, whose best friend Sophie disappeared 18 years prior, and Francesca is still haunted by the mystery of what happened to her. So when Frankie gets a call from Sophie's brother Daniel informing her that human remains have been found washed up nearby, she immediately wonders if it could be Sophie and returns to her hometown to try and find some sort of closure. So Daniel is convinced that Sophie's disappearance was murder rather than death by misadventure, as the police have claimed. So Daniel arranges a rental for Frankie that overlooks the same pier where Sophie disappeared. So it's the middle of winter, out of season, and Frankie feels really isolated and cut off from everybody and quite unnerved, especially when she's out on the pier late one night and catches a glimpse of a woman who looks just like Sophie. So the question is the pier actually haunted, as some of the locals believe, or could she really be seeing her friend's ghost? And, of course, what actually happened to her best friend all those years ago. So it sounds like a very intriguing thriller here. So the next book is entitled Love from A to Z by S.K. Ali. So this is a young adult contemporary novel that follows Zainab Malik, I believe her name is, who was a high school senior and the only Muslim in her class. So when she gets suspended over an incident with an Islamophobic teacher, she leaves her hometown in Indiana to visit her aunt in Doha, Qatar. So on the way to Dora, she meets Adam Chen, a young man who was just diagnosed with multiple sclerosis 2 months prior. So the two of them begin to spend time together, and once they do, feelings intensify. But with the numerous obstacles in their lives, they'll have to decide whether pursuing a relationship is even a possibility. So I've heard some very positive reviews of this one as well. And I was also excited when I saw it on a book outlet. So love from A to Z. So next up is Boy's Life by Robert McCammon. And then this is a stonker of a book. And this is a historic urban fantasy. I think it's an urban fantasy, as there's talk about magic and monsters. But here, let me read you the blurb. Zephyr, Alabama is an idyllic hometown for 11-year-old Corey Mackinson, a place where monsters swim the river deep and friends are forever. Then, one cold spring morning, Corey and his father witness a car plunge into the lake, and a desperate rescue attempt brings the father face to face with a terrible, haunting vision of death. As Corey struggles to understand his father's pain, his eyes are slowly opened to the forces of good and evil that surround him. From an ancient mystic who can hear the dead and bewitch the living, to a violent clan of moonshiners, Corey must confront the secrets that hide in the shadows of his hometown, for his father's sanity and his own life hang in the balance. So sounds very intriguing. So yeah, there's a little bit of magic and maybe ghosts. Mystic who can hear the dead. So sounds like fun. So the next book on my list is Sorcery of Thorns, and this is by Margaret Rogerson. So this is a fantasy that follows a young woman who has grown up believing that all sorcerers are evil. And she knows all about sorcery, about magical grimoires or spellbooks that whisper in their shelves and rattle beneath iron chains, and if agitated can turn into grotesque monsters. So there's an act of sabotage that releases the library's most dangerous grimoire, and Elizabeth is implicated in the crime, and I do believe that she works at the library, so that might be why she's implicated. So she's in big trouble, and there's only one person to whom she can turn for assistance, her sworn enemy, the sorcerer Nathaniel Thorne, and his mysterious demonic servant. So as her alliance with Nathaniel grows stronger, Elizabeth starts to question everything she's ever been taught about sorcerers, about the libraries that she loves, and even about herself, for Elizabeth has powers of her own. So this is the same author as Enchantment of Ravens. So I get 2 books by her to check out. So the next book that I picked up is entitled A Simple Favor. This is written by Darcy Bell. So this is a psychological thriller that follows a single mother named Stephanie whose life is turned upside down when her best friend Emily vanishes. So it all starts out with a simple favor when Emily asks Stephanie to pick up her son Nicky from school. Nicky and her son Miles are classmates and best friends. But Emily doesn't come back. She doesn't answer calls or return texts. So Stephanie knows that something is terribly wrong because Emily would never leave her son, would leave Nicky no matter what the police might say. Then she and Emily's husband Sean receive the shocking news that Emily is dead. But the nightmare supposedly isn't over because Stephanie discovers that nothing, not friendship, not love, not even an ordinary favor, is as simple as it seems. And from what I read, this is supposedly a really twisty story about murder, revenge, betrayal, and secrets. Oh, yeah, calling me intrigued. So I will be reporting back on this one. So the last 4 books are books that I received from the Book of the Month Club over the last couple of months. Actually, last 2 months. One book is from the previous month's month selection, and this month I received 3 books from the Book of the Month Club. So the first book I want to talk about is a book that I've been highly anticipating. It's called Things in Jars by Jess Kidd. Now, I recently read and enjoyed a book by Jess Kidd entitled The Hoarder. Now, that was a British title. The American name was the Mr. Flood's Last Resort. So, and I really loved that book. So I was super excited to see this among the Book of the Month Club offerings. So this is a historical, magical realism Gothic mystery, I guess, that takes place in Victorian London and follows Bertie Devine, a female detective who must solve the kidnapping of a young girl who is reputed to have supernatural powers and who has captured the attention of collectors trading in curiosities. So Bertie's search for the girl takes her to the underworld, where she is aided by quite a colorful cast of characters from what I can gather, including a 7-foot-tall housemaid and a tattoo-covered ghost. So yeah, that's really all I know about it. But I did see a video where Just Kid was actually talking about this. So this is a highly anticipated read for me. So the next Book of the Month selection that I hauled is a book entitled A Woman is No Man by Ataf Room. Now I don't know too much about this one, except that it tells the story of 3 generations of Palestinian American women struggling to express their individual hopes and desires within the confines of their Arab culture and in the wake of a shocking intimate violence that rocks their community. Now, this was supposedly one of the Book of the Month Club finalists for the year, so it's a highly regarded novel, and I'm really looking forward to it. The blurb really intrigued me, so yeah, I can't wait to get into it. So the penultimate book that I hauled was entitled The Sundown Hotel by Simone St. James. So this is a ghost story that first follows Viv Delaney, who in 1982 takes a job as a night clerk at the Sundown Motel in Fell, New York. But something is not right at the motel. Something is haunting and scary. So then we move to 2017, where Carly Kirk has never been able to quite let go of the story of her Aunt Viv, who mysteriously disappeared from the Sundown before she was born. So Carly decides to move to Fell and visit the motel, where she quickly learns that nothing has changed since 1982, and she soon finds herself ensnared in the same mysteries that claimed her aunt. So, I'm a lover of a good ghost story. So, and this was actually this month's featured selection. So, I'm going to try to get to it in January if I can. So, check back in February and I'll be reporting on it hopefully. Or maybe even sooner. So, the last book is The Wives by Taryn Fisher. So this is another thriller that follows a woman named Thursday whose husband Seth has 2 other wives. Yeah, I know, right? Now, Thursday has never met them and she doesn't know anything about them. She's agreed to this unusual arrangement because she's so crazy about her husband. But one day she discovers something very disconcerting, something that tells a very different and horrifying story about the man she married. So that's all I know about this book, but it sounds like quite a unique little read, so I can't wait to get into it. Well, yeah, that's better. So that about does it for my little haul. I'm not sure when my next haul will be because I'm not really planning on buying any books anytime soon, but we all know how that goes. So yeah, as always, I thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate all of your support, and I will talk to you all in the next video. Roger and out.